Kong is close to 90 years old this year and has been revived for the screen multiple times. But the original story sees a forceful director, Carl Denham, charter a ship to a distant island that supposedly is the home of a giant ape called Kong. When they get to the island, they discover a huge wall and gate surrounding a small village. They interrupt a tribe performing a ritual of preparing a young woman as a bride for Kong. The chief of the tribe becomes excited when he sees Anne and says that he will trade 6 of his women for their golden woman. Let me just interrupt for a moment and say the obvious, that this film is from a very different time, and as such has some very offensive racial stereotypes present. Also, the idea of a gorilla lusting after a golden woman just feeds into the fear of interracial marriages that was very prevalent at the time. It is the one thing that stops King Kong in its tracks, watching it in these now supposedly more enlightened times. Denham and crew member Jack Driscoll, who has taken a shine to Anne, says no to the tribe and they head back to the ship. However, in the night, the tribe creep onto the boat and kidnap Anne. She is strung up on the other side of the wall and a huge gong is rung, alerting the crew to Anne's disappearance. They get to the wall just to see the giant gorilla called King Kong emerge from the jungle and take Anne away with him. When I watched this film as a child, I was actually genuinely scared of Kong. I think as a child you can kind of see past the film's age and sometimes rather hokey acting and just really enjoy the adventure story. Denham and the crew take chase into the jungle to try and save Anne, but are thwarted along the way by a series of dinosaur attacks. First up, a plant-eating stegosaurus, attacks them and they kill it. Then a vegetarian brontosaurus, yes, a vegetarian brontosaurus, hunts them down and eats one of them, before eventually Kong catches up with them and throws the remaining sailors off a log, plunging them into a rocky cavern where they die a horrific death. We then see Kong take on a T-Rex. This is an epic fight that must have taken weeks to film frame by frame. It's like a wrestling match. Animator of the film, Willis O'Brien, had been involved in stop motion for many years. He had provided the special effects for the 1925 adaptation of The Lost World, and was in the process of making an incredibly ambitious and expensive film called Creation for RKO Pictures when it was halted and ultimately never finished, and he was moved over to start work on King Kong. The work that Willis and his team put into Kong, I think, is the main reason for this film's longevity. There is so much technically going on in all the monster fights in the film. You have back projection, miniature models, matte paintings, all sorts of incredible art went into creating the world of Skull Island and the creatures in it. Driscoll eventually rescues Anne, and Kong is furious about it. He chases them back to the village, breaking through the giant gate and rampaging through the houses. Denham orders his remaining crew to gas grenade Kong, and they capture the felled but alive creature and ship him back to New York, where he is put on show. When Kong sees Anne again and mistakes the camera flashbulbs as an attack on her, he breaks out of his restraints to go and try and save her. He eventually finds Anne and takes her up the tallest building in New York, the Empire State Building, that had only recently been finished. A squadron of fighter planes are then sent out to take Kong out. He falls to his death, where a rather arrogant Denham turns to the camera to pronounce that in fact,
"'Twas beauty killed the beast."
I love the shocked reaction of the crowd behind Denham when he says this. And you just imagine the policeman turning around and going, "Oh right, yeah, well it was your idea to send up those aeroplanes, and now I've got a dead monkey all over the street, so you better get sweeping." King Kong is directed by former World War I pilot Merrin Cooper and war cameraman Ernest Schudersack. King Kong was a culmination of various different adventure documentaries the pair had made together. Their films Grass and Chang were successful, but Cooper wanted more widespread success, so set about creating a fictional story involving a giant gorilla. Originally, he wanted to film actual Komodo dragons fighting gorillas on miniature sets, and thankfully someone turned him off to the idea, and paired him with animator Willis O'Brien. The script was originally conceived by Cooper and author Edgar Wallace, but after Wallace's death in 1932, the script moved to Ashmore Creelman. But Cooper was unhappy with its structure, and so it landed on the lap of Schudersack's wife, Ruth Rose. She's the one that reworked the script in order to build in some tension and hold off Kong's appearance until about 45 minutes into the film. She also looked at her husband and Cooper for inspiration for Denham and Driscoll. And then, of course, we get Fay Wray's performance as Anne Darrow and her scream. She was an incredibly hard-working actor and in 1933 shot 11 films for RKO, and that included The Most Dangerous Game, at the same time as filming King Kong. Cooper also borrowed that film's jungle set and Robert Armstrong, who plays Denham. And then we get Bruce Cabot as Jack Driscoll. His character is just basically a non-starter. I don't see any chemistry between him and Anne Darrow, and actually that's a thread that follows in all of the other Kong remakes. The main star of the film is King Kong, and it's the first time that a special effect was successfully created into a fully rounded character, and that's a testament to Willis's work, and that now nearly 90 years later we are still making, and more importantly loving, watching Kong on the screen. Another milestone in Kong is the score by Max Steiner. It implements a set of themes for Kong and Darrow that are then played and reworked throughout the whole film. Also, Steiner works his score to the action of the film. A scene where the chief walks down a set of steps towards the camera is scored to the steps that he takes. There is a real connection between Steiner's work and the images we see on the screen, and that allows us to feel something for Kong and goes a long way, I think, to selling the reality of the film. When the film was released in 1933, America was at the height of the Great Depression, and King Kong provided audiences with a great escape. Cinemas of the day were huge picture palaces with thousands of seats, and tickets were relatively cheap. Also, King Kong was screened sometimes 24 hours a day, and so the film became a mammoth success. And due to that success, RKO rushed out a sequel, Son of Kong.
Poor old boy. Baby Kong.
I'm sure at some point I'll get round to reviewing Peter Jackson's King Kong, and also its 1976 remake by Dino De Laurentiis. But anyway, thank you very much for watching my review of King Kong, the earliest film I reviewed so far. Over the next couple of weeks I'll be tackling the original Godzilla from 1954, and also that classic clash between Godzilla and King Kong. But until then, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!